#1 quarterback I have rated in this year's fantasy draft is Aaron Rodgers. After what he did last year, there's no way you can second guess this guy's talent. The way he completed those passes, accuracy, the touchdown to interception ratio. You know, in Mike McCarthy's offense, they're going to throw the ball around a lot. They rarely run the ball, and Rodgers has the accuracy and the decision-making ability. He's worthy of the #1 pick in any fantasy league.
And he also can pick up points on the ground too. Very athletic quarterback.
Very underrated runner.
Very underrated. Who's #2?
#2 would be Drew Brees. Same type of offense, though the Saints show the ability to be a bit more balanced than the Packers. Drew Brees, he knows the system. He's breaking every record possible. He sometimes forces the ball a bit more than Rodgers, but as far as yards and touchdowns, you can't go wrong with Drew Brees.
And the reason, I'm guessing the reason why you have Brees second and the Packers first, Rodgers first, is due to the fact that Rodgers is more athletic as far as running the football.
Exactly.
Brees won't give you any points on the ground, although he should, but he doesn't utilize his athleticism. What about #3?
#3, you can't go wrong with Cam Newton. I took over in many leagues last year when I drafted Cam Newton. This is a guy who gets so many yards on the ground. He's also a very smart runner. So unlike other scrambling quarterbacks, you really don't have to worry about Cam Newton getting hurt. As big as he is, he knows when to get down. He very rarely takes big shots. And you can just look for his numbers to increase from last year. If he did that as a rookie, going into this year, Cam Newton is worthy of a top 4 pick.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. That guy put up amazing stats last year. What about #4?
#4, hey, this is a no-brainer. Tom Brady. They may not have all of the weapons, the big-name weapons outside of Welker at the wide receiver position, but we saw last year that Brady almost had 2 tight ends with 1,000 yards. You know, Gronkowski had well over 1,300 yards and 17 touchdowns. Hernandez wasn't too far behind. He had about 900-something yards and about 7 or so touchdowns. So Tom Brady with Welker and those 2 tight ends, you can't go wrong in the top 5.
That's a good pick. Who rounds out your top 5?
Eli Manning is my 5th rated quarterback, and with the addition of Ruben Randall, you add him to Hakeem Nicks and Victor Cruz, Eli Manning, and he put up great numbers last year as well. So I look for that offense to be even better. I know they lost Manningham, but I'm willing to stake a claim that Ruben Randall is going to make that offense even more dangerous.
And you also toss in guys like Darrell Jernigan and those type of guys, very underrated slot guy that should see more ticks this season. Who's #6?
#6, I'm going to go with Jay Cutler. With the additions that the Bears made this offseason, you talk about drafting Alshon Jeffrey. He has a reunion with Brandon Marshall. You have Devin Hester in the slot. You have 2 legitimate NFL running backs. I look for that Bears offense to be super explosive this year.
And don't forget about guys like Earl Bennett and also Kellen Davis. Those guys should see
Johnny Knox.
Success this season. There's a lot of good work. I'll actually rate him over Eli.
Exactly.
That's just me.
I got you.
Who's #7?
#7, I gotta go with Michael Vick. When Vick is healthy, he is always the most dangerous quarterback in the league because of his speed, and he's a very underrated passer. We talked recently, a lot of people try to say Andy Reid made him a good passer. Vick has always been a good passer, just never really had the receiving weapons. This guy puts up numbers. He's a fantasy nightmare for any opponent because of what he can do on the ground. Plus, he has the weapons like Deshaun Jackson, big tight end in Brent Sellett. He has Macklin, who's known to make a play every now and then. So I look for Vic to have a big year.
And you could toss the ball off to LaShawn McCoy. You could take a screen pass and take it the distance. So a lot of points coming out of Vic. Who's #8?
#8, I go with Matthew Stafford. Of course, we know he plays with the best receiver in the league in Megatron. They have a nice young receiver in Titus Young. They also picked, who else did they pick up this year?
They picked up Ryan Broyles out of Oklahoma.
So
if he checks out medically, he's going to put up some big numbers.
Yeah, and Stafford, I mean, last year threw for over 5,000 yards. You can look for that confidence just to continue to grow. And as long as you have Megatron on your team, aka Calvin Johnson, your quarterback is going to put up some numbers.
Could put up good numbers in the Detroit offense.
Exactly. #9, and you got to go with Phillip Rivers out of San Diego. Rivers is the consummate quarterback. He stands in that pocket. He's always delivering. He has a great tight end in Antonio Gates, and it doesn't really matter who's that receiver. Phillip Rivers is a quarterback that sees the field, and he's going to get it to the open man. Phillip Rivers is a top 10 quarterback in my opinion.
And shout out to Ladarius Green, the University of Louisiana Raising Cajun, making that squad should help bolster that offense. Who rounds up the top 10?
And to round out my top 10, I have to go with Matt Schaub. And the reason I go with Schaub is because that Gary Kubiak system sets him up so well to be able to see the field, that bootleg play action, hitting the tight ends on the post, hitting Andre Johnson over the top. tight ends down the seam, things of that nature. That Houston offense is always an effective offense because of Arian Foster. And then the play action off of that, it gives Matt Schaub all kinds of throwing lanes.
That's a pretty good top 10, man. So we're just going to check out what you have ranked for 11 through 32. Then after that, after the commercial break, we're going to come back. We're going to talk running backs. So we both are former running backs, so can't wait to see who you have rated as your top 5. So here's who you have rated as 11 through 32.
Now you look at 11 through 36, Peyton Manning with the Broncos, new offense. He's going to find some favorite targets out there, so you have to like that matchup. Tony Romo will always put up big numbers for the Cowboys, a lot of weapons at the receiver and the tight end position. Alex Smith has the best set of weapons around him. If they open up the passing game, he could have a lot of success this year as well. Matt Ryan with the Falcons always will put up 20 plus touchdowns, maybe 10 interceptions. Robert Griffin, as a rookie, has a lot of wealth of talent around him. Ben Roethlisberger, you don't know how he's going to do in that new offense with Todd Haley. Andy Dalton should be higher on this list, but this guy has a lot of weapons at his disposal. Carson Palmer is learning a new offense out there in Oakland, but they still have some solid weapons out there for his disposal. You look at Joe Flacco, run-dominated offense, so you may want to stay away from him. Josh Freeman should have a lot of success throwing the football to Vincent Jackson, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that Bills offense. That's the biggest question mark, I think, right now going into the season. Andrew Luck has those tight ends he can throw the ball to. Mark Sanchez in that passing game. A lot of questions out there for the Jets. Sam Bradford should have some success operating off play action in Jeff Fisher's offense. Matt Castle now has a defensive-minded head coach, so the passing game will struggle out there in Kansas City. That's something you want to stay away from. Brandon Whedon is a rookie going into Cleveland. Not many receiving options, so you may want to stay away from him. Matt Hasselbeck has to fight off Jake Locker, who's probably better suited to play in that offense. He's going to give you more points on the ground as well. Matt Flynn is also in the battle with Tavares Jackson and Russell Wilson. You may want to stay away from him. We also have Russell Wilson on this list. He may end up starting for the Seahawks. Chad Henne also may end up starting for the Jaguars. Skelton and Cobb will fight it out in Arizona. Christian Ponder will start for the Vikings, but I think they're going to lean more on a running game. Tim Tebow is the wild card there. He can give you points on the ground. And Blaine Gabbert comes into his second season having to fight off Chad Henne for the starting quarterback duties.